now. So we'll be doing another article. This time it's going to be on the coronavirus again and here. So I sent the link to the article in the chat. So we're going to start off by reading it and then we'll be analyzing the article. Okay, so let's start off. Did the WHO mishandle the global coronavirus pandemic? So WHO is the World Health Organization, and they are basically a nonprofit organization that works to help the health, like any health crisis and pandemic globally. So it's like a bunch of nations together. They all have their own problems and they help each other resolve it. Okay, so experts say agency made mistakes, but responsibility also lies with member states. So this is to start us off what the article is going to be about. So this person, he's the director of World Health Organization, and now let's just start. Okay, Jason, would you like to start us off?
Sure.
All right.
The World Health Organization has come under fire for its response to the global coronavirus pandemic with threats of funding cuts and investigation into its conduct. But experts say that while the WHO may have made some missteps in its handling of the crisis, the organization is only as powerful as its weakest is.
Weakest link. Yeah. All right. So basically, the World Health Organization, people think that they could have handled the situation a bit better. Because of the coronavirus right now, it's a really big problem, and lots of people are being affected. And some people think that it could have been handled better, which means like they could have reacted more quick, and made it better. All right. Uh, so does someone else want to read?
I'll read.
All right, Alyssa.
The United Nations Agency was founded in 1948 with a mandate to act as an authority on international health. Its 194 member states fund the agency and set its policies, and it is accountable to them. Conversely, it has discretionary power to investigate members' handling of public health crises, but it relies on their cooperation and information sharing.
All right, thank you. So basically, what we're reading here is that there are 194 members of this organization, so 194 countries, and it has a lot of power. So it has the power to do whatever it wants to handle a public health crisis. So it has the power to choose, oh, you should do this, and we are going to do this. And okay, and as we read here, it was founded in 1948, quite a while ago, and it acts on international health. Okay, does someone else want to read? Someone new? Tom, comma, Shane, Jeff.
Sure, I'll read.
All right.
I can read.
Shane, you start off, and then Jeff is after.
Yeah. So from an organization, right?
Yeah.
An organization like the World Health Organization can only be as strong and as effective as its member states want it to be, said Stephen Hoffman, director of the Global Strategy Lab and a global health law professor at York University in Toronto.
Thank you. So basically, what Stephen Hoffman is saying is that each member, they have to contribute some information, and then this information is important as they will know what will be needed to be done. So if you don't provide information, if these countries don't give information, then the World Health Organization, they aren't going to be as strong. They won't know what's going on. Okay, Jeff, could you read this? Jeff?
Should I read it?
All right, comma, go first.
So one of the challenges that the World Health Organization has faced over the last decades is that it keeps on getting new responsibilities and no new resources. In 2005, its responsibilities increased with the adoption of the International Health Regulations (IHR), a legal agreement signed by all members that requires countries to report emerging disease outbreaks that are at risk of spreading worldwide.
All right. So what this paragraph is telling us is giving us background information. So what we need to know. So in 2005, its responsibilities, they were tasked. They're supposed to have an agreement signed by all members, where if you have a health problem, like there's a new disease that you found, you are supposed to tell them about it because this is important. And okay, now let's continue. Can someone new read these two? Okay, you. Are you here?
Okay, yeah. In doing so, experts say the WHO took a more political role in juggling the domestic interest of its individual members with the interest of the rest of the world. They have never performed well in that function. Not once, said Amir Atari, a professor in the faculties, the law and school of epidemiology and public health at the University of Ottawa, who told CBC Sunday Edition the WHO should never again preside over a pandemic.
All right. So what we can see here is that Amir Anaran, he doesn't really support WHO. He thinks that they are doing a bad job at making sure like the world health is to manage all the pandemics. So here he says they have never performed well in that function, not once. He thinks that the WHO isn't doing a good job right now. All right. So to continue, Jason, are you here? Could you read these two paragraphs, sentences?
Ryan, never mind.
Jason, can you read?
Oh, yeah, sorry, I was muted. They cave to diplomatic pressure, or even if there is no diplomatic pressure, they self-censor. Atarian said an agency entrusted with ensuring compliance with an agreement like the IHR cannot also operate with the attitude of a diplomat.
Right. So what this means is that a diplomat is like someone that's like an ambassador. They represent the government.
Awesome.
And because WHO sometimes they self-censor, what this means is that they don't give all the information because some of it is like confidential. So this isn't really helpful when you want to contain a pandemic like the coronavirus. All right. So Alyssa, could you read these two?
Okay. It cannot simultaneously be constantly begging countries for cooperation in certain areas where it's expected at the next moment to turn on them severely and possibly fault them for hiding an epidemic. Hoffman says the agency is doomed by its institutional design.
Right. So because of political reasons, sometimes like WHO they hide some really important information, such as here he's saying that for hiding an epidemic is like a disease. So as you might know, the WHO declared the coronavirus as an international emergency a bit late, and that's why there's a lot more cases than usual. Okay. Shane, could you read these two?
The criticism that the WHO has faced are not fair in the sense that WHO is not an independent entity. It's essentially acting on behalf of its member states who control it, he said. So the criticism is really a criticism of those national governments' inability to create the kind of strong public health agency that the world needs in this globalized era.
Okay, thank you.
Can I
Uh, sure, Jeff.
read?
But
On December 31, China alerted the WHO a mysterious outbreak of pneumonia in the city of Wuhan, in the central Chinese province of Hubei. But it would be weeks before the WHO declared the situation a public health emergency of international concern on January 30, a key designation that determines whether a country's response to outbreak has been affected and if more resources are needed.
all right, thank you. So basically, on December 31st, this was last year, China had told the World Health Organization that there was a new disease that they found, a mysterious outbreak of pneumonia. That's like it's sort of like a cold, and they found that it was in the city of Wuhan, and so that's why they told the health organization. But this organization, they declared it as an emergency on January 30th. That's months after. So it was a bit late, and that was why the virus is not as contained. Okay, so comma, could you read these two paragraphs?
Sure. The timing of that emergency declaration is critical at the beginning of an epidemic and can have ripple effects on how quickly countries around the world respond. I think that happened probably a week too late, said Hoffman, adding that the organization was hung over when the outbreak constituted an emergency.
Right, thank you. So basically, the by announcing that this was a public emergency, countries would have to respond, right? They would take precautions. They would try to be more careful. And because it was a month late, this was why the coronavirus is really global, because it wasn't as contained. They didn't take as many precautions. And the World Health Organization did not know if this was really severe emergency. Okay, OKU, could you read this?
Can I read?
While the WHO considered the emergency declaration, Chinese officials acted swiftly to silence early information releases of information from healthcare workers sounding the alarm. In Wuhan, opting instead of carefully manage the release of information in the week before the WHO would be allowed on the ground.
All right, thank you. So that's sort of the reason why it was the emergency concern was raised a bit late, is because they weren't really allowed to say that this was an emergency. Okay, so here, first Jason and then Alyssa. Okay, could you read?
Okay. Former Canadian ambassador to China David Mulroney said that information was put through a political prism in China and delayed as local officials determined how to put the best possible face on the crisis before sending it up to the line in Benjamin.
Beijing. All right. So Beijing is the capital city of China, and what they mean by political prism is that the way how fast the news is traveled is actually really slow. So that's why it took a long time. All right. So Alyssa, could you read this?
Mulroney said that problem highlights an inherent issue within the WHO. It can be stonewalled by a member country on the release of information, posing a significant risk at a critical time in an outbreak.
All right. So what Maloney is trying to say here is that there is a problem with how WHO is structured. So if a country just doesn't tell about this problem or says or tells the WHO about the problem really late, it can really change the risk. It will make it much more riskier, especially in a critical time, such as in an outbreak, because it can spread really fast. So that's what stonewalls mean. It's like a wall. It blocks the progress. Okay. Shane, could you read this?
Lynette Ong, an associate professor of political science at the University of Toronto and a China specialist, said the WHO needed to maintain a diplomatic relationship with China in order to encourage the conducting of investigations and the sharing of key data.
Right. Thank you. Okay, let's continue. Jeff, would you read this?
Yeah, okay. When Chinese health officials quickly genetically sequenced the virus from an infected parents, the WHO lauded the effort, calling it a notable achievement that demonstrates China's increased capacity to manage the outbreak.
All right, thank you. So what we're reading here is that when Chinese health officials they extracted, basically they took the virus away from an infected patient. So they took a sample, and then WHO just complimented them. They said that it was a really great achievement that China had done. Okay. Comma, could you read this?
Okay, but you do not also want to overdo it to be too deferential and too friendly to the extent that you cannot take a step back and then question the things that they share with you. She said, who is being criticized? Rightly so, and a lot of the criticism is justified to my mind because they have probably gone a little too far to the other side of being too deferential.
Yeah, deferential. So basically what deferential means, it means like being kind, being nice. It's like being respectful and considerate. So what does it mean here is that WHO is being a bit too nice to China basically, and that's kind of also what people are not like. So you're gonna learn a bit more about that here. So OKU, can you read this? Are you here?
What?
Could you read this part? Ong said.
Ong said that while the WHO was outwardly praising China for its capacity to build hospitals and put in place strict lockdown of millions of its citizens that helped flatten the epidemic curve, the country did so by casting aside privacy and human rights with drug restrictions on citizens.
Okay, thank you. So what we're seeing here is that China actually did a lot really quickly. They built a hospital and they did a lot of things and locked down millions of patients, citizens. And that's actually pretty good. They just limited the spread of the virus. But by limiting this, they also had to force every citizen to stay at home. And obviously some people do not like that. Okay, here. Now, let's see which turn this is. Jason, could you read this?
The other side of the criticism, which I also think is justified, is the cover up at the beginning, which I don't think the WHO was actually addressed it at all. She said adding the world lost 2 to 3 weeks at a very crucial time in tackling the outbreak. Had there not been any cover up, I think the world we would be in a different position.
All right. So what they mean by cover up is like the way that WHO like announced the emergency situation was much late, right? It was 1 month later. And when China said they found a new disease, this was in December 31st. And at this time, that there was like limited patients. Maybe there was only like 10 or like 5. But this, uh, because it was covered up, the number of patients kept on growing. And now, as you can see, there's millions of people that are infected. Okay, so should the WHO be held accountable? Should the World Health Organization be held accountable? Alyssa, could you read this?
Calls for the WHO to be held accountable for its response to the global coronavirus have been growing. Australia says it will call for an international investigation into the origin of the pandemic at next month's annual meeting of the World Health Assembly, the decision-making body of the WHO. And US President Donald Trump has already cut funding to the organization, saying it failed in its duty.
Right. So the job of the World Health Organization is to maintain and just try to control any health issues. And now we can see President Donald Trump, he doesn't support the World Health Organization. He thinks that they are not doing it right and they have failed what they're supposed to do. Okay, Shane, could you read this part?
Still, the U.S. is working with the agency. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has, since late January, had a member on the WHO's Emergency Committee, which also includes Canada's Chief Police Health Officer, Dr. Theresa Tam, as an advisor.
All right, thank you. And Jeff, could you read this? Jeff? Okay, if Jeff isn't here, Kama, could you read?
Okay, Tam said that while she would welcome a review of the pandemic advice provided by the WHO, she does not fault it for its initial response because health experts all over the world underestimated where this could go.
All right, thank you. So what Theresa Tan is saying is that this isn't really the World Health Organization's problem. It's more of being underestimated. People did not think that the coronavirus would be this big of a pandemic. Okay, we're almost done the article. Here. Okay, OKU, could you read these two?
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said Canada would continue to work with the WHO because the virus demands a global
Coordinated.
coordinated response. He added there will be plenty of time to reflect on challenge in the future.
Right. So our Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, he thinks that to fight this virus, everyone needs to be working together. So he's still going to be working with the WHO, World Health Organization. Jason, could you read this?
Former interim Liberal leader Bob Rae and Canada's special envoy on humanitarian and refuge issues said that while the WHO does act as a source of information, alert, and guidance for the countries in a pandemic, that doesn't take away the responsibility of government to take the steps they feel necessary.
All right, thank you. Alyssa, could you read this?
You could never say, well, you know, the WHO didn't tell us how serious it was. Of course they did, Ray said. The question as to how each country should respond to the information is entirely up to each country. It's not up to the WHO.
Yeah, so each country has their own way to respond to the pandemic. As you can see in like China, Canada, USA, we're like quarantined. We're staying at home. We're trying not to go out. But in other countries, in Sweden, they aren't really quarantined. They're just doing whatever they want. They don't have to stay at home. They have their own way to prevent try your best to contain the coronavirus. Okay. Here, Shane, could you read these two?
The WHO doesn't issue directives. To say you should carry out a lockdown, you should limit transportation. You should cut off all flights. Ray said that while it can be difficult for the WHO to navigate the challenges of the Chinese political system, there's no evidence to suggest the organization actively suppressed the release of any information on the pandemic.
All right, thank you. So yeah, there's lots of difficulties to get the information they needed. So it was going to be slow, and and there's no evidence that they were trying to cover this pandemic up. Okay, Jeff, are you here? Okay, Kama, could you read these two?
Where? He
so
says
when
the criticism of the WHO is completely misguised and that cutting funding to the organization at a critical time is a strategic mistake. I think every crisis such as this one will prompt every governmental agency, both domestic and international, to reflect on what happened and to see how it can be improved, he said.
All right, thank you. So he thinks that the World Health Organization and how Donald Trump he cut the funds, that was a really big mistake, and we still need the World Health Organization. Okay, can you finish this article off?
You're muted. That is an issue that is going to be quite legitimate, placed at the doorstep of the WHO.
All right, thank you. So we're done this article, and let's go. So in an article, there's different components. So we're going to be learning about what a news article is actually made of. So basically, a news article, they have a headline, a lead, a backup quote, attribution, reaction, a nut graph, a background, and an ending. So I'll be explaining what all these are and where you could find it in the article. Okay, so first of all, the headline. So the headline is one of the eye-catching things. What do you see first? It's just a summary of what you're going to be reading about, and it's usually in a really big font where you can see immediately. They also act as a summary of all the stories they're going to be talking about. Okay, so if we go back to, let me share. Right, so well, I'm going to be asking you, what is the headline in this article? Does anyone know? Do you guys know where the headline is?
Did the WHO mishandle the global coronavirus pandemic?
Right, so that's the headline. Where once we see this, we know what we're going to be reading about. This is what the article is about. So as we go back here, the headline it is, did the WHO mishandle the global coronavirus pandemic? So now we're going to be learning about the lead. So the lead is usually the first sentence of the article. It's supposed to be hooking you on, so you want to read more. And although it's not only one sentence, it could be more. It could be 2 or 3, but usually it's just really short. And a news story with a really good lead will captivate the audience. So the audience will try to read more of the article. And it usually tells you at least a few of the W's. So who, what, when, where, why. It could tell you who and when, or it could tell you what and where. So in this article, do you guys know where the lead is?
Is it the first 4 lines?
First 4? Actually, yeah, it is. So basically, this is the firstly, expert state agencies made mistakes, but responsibility also lies with member states. And the World Health Organization, so this is like, who are we talking about? The World Health Organization. What are we talking about? They're coming under fire for their response. And this doesn't tell us when, but it tells us enough to make us interested, basically. So if we go back here, so what is the lead in the article? It's right. So this is basically the lead. Okay, so now we're learning about the backup quote. So in most articles that you're going to be reading about, they should have a quote that comes right after the lead. So it's usually supposed to give you some information that's entertaining. And a quote is they use like these two symbols, and it's usually just to show that someone else has said this because it's not their own words. So if we go back to this article, where do you think is the backup quote? Does anyone know?
Like where it is?
Yeah, just tell me what's the backup quote.
Oh, is it an organization like the blah blah all the way
Yeah,
to
that's the backup quote. So that's basically it supports what they were talking about in the beginning, and it also gives us more information. So this is what they call a backup quote. Okay, so yeah, the backup quote is an organization like the World Health Organization will only be as strong and as effective as member states want to be. And let's continue. So background. This is one of the more important parts of a news article. So what the background really is just that it gives context. It gives the information that you need to know to understand what the article is talking about. So this one, I'm going to go back. Okay, so to the background, this one is a bit longer. So you could see that like here, it talks about international health regulations. This isn't related to the article, but you need to know what this is in order to understand what the article is about. So this part is it gives you background information. Here it also takes a bit, it talks about more about background information with a bunch of other quotes. So yeah, that's the background information. But this isn't really what the article is talking about. So now we're talking about the nut graph. So a nut graph really is just it tells the reader what the story is about. So this is the important part. So the lead and the nut graph, they have the same purpose, but the nut graph is just longer and more detailed. All right. So does anyone know where the nut graph is? Oops. So this one is a bit harder to find. It's since this article is long, we scroll a bit down. You guys know where the article is? So we just need to find where the nut graph. So the nut graph is going to be talking about the same thing as the lead, right? So the lead, here, they made mistakes. They have come under fire. So we're talking about the World Health Organization and how they come under fire. So if we read through all of this, so this is all background information. This is still background information. But now we read here, this is what they call the nut graph. It's a bunch of paragraphs and it's the main topic about what the article is about. So what you could say is that the nut graph comes under the subtitle, the early response to the pandemic was criticized. So that's where you could find the nut graph. And attribution. So attribution, this is where it explains everything. So it explains the source, it explains the information, and it gives away all the facts of the story. So you don't just give, good news articles, you don't give just one or two facts, you give a lot and for both sides. So this part is when the reader, when you read the article, you think, oh, I agree with this person, or I don't agree with this person. That's what the attribution is about. So it lists all the facts, and the reader just judges should the story where they agree with it. So now, reaction. This part is controversial. So basically, they have biased statements. They make you feel an emotion, like maybe you agree with it, maybe you don't, maybe you're angry. This is what they try to do. So it's just the comments of someone who's familiar with this situation, and it can be two different sides. So from this WHO article, we thought that there were two different people. So one type of people, one group of people, they think that the World Health Organization, they did a bad job in containing the virus, and they aren't really reliable. The other group thinks that the World Health Organization, they did a good job. They tried their best, but they underestimated how how to handle the virus. Okay, so from these are two quotes from the articles, you can see there's two different sides. So Tam, she thinks that the World Health Organization is not at fault. Wait a second. So here we can see she does not fault it for its initial response because health experts all over the world underestimated it. So she thinks that WHO basically did a good job. And if we read here, the other side of this criticism, which I also think is justified, is the cover up at the beginning, and WHO didn't address it, and they lost a crucial time. So we can see here that Ong doesn't really think that WHO did a good job. She thinks that basically they should be blamed for not doing their best. Okay, so if we go back and let me go here. Okay, so if we go up here, we can also see that there's someone else that doesn't really think they did good. Right here, they never performed well in that function, not once, said Amir Adaran. So what do you think Amir is saying right now? Do you think he supports what the WHO is doing, or he disagrees and thinks they're not doing a good job? Does anyone want to take a guess?
He's saying like they did a bad job.
Right, yeah, because they had never performed well, right? So he thinks that they should be blamed, basically. Okay, so good job. So let's go back here. So now in the news article, there's always the ending. So it gives you maybe a statement or a question to make you reflect on the article.
Andrew.
So basically, if we go back to here, so in a news article,
Yep.
there's always going to be a headline. So what does it mean? There's going to be a big title. There's going to be a lead, which is going to tell you, summarize what you're going to be reading about, and it's going to hook you onto the article. It's going to be interesting. A backup quote is just a quote said by someone. In attribution, it states all the facts. Reaction is controversial statements. Nut graph is all the information. It tells you everything the article is supposed to talk about. Background is the information you need to know to understand the article. And an ending, because you need to end the article. All right, so most news articles will be using these components when writing down the news. So no matter what article you go to, there will always be at least most of these components. All right, so here's I'll just be going to use this article, and we can see already that first of all, this is the headline. Does someone know where the lead is? Does someone know, like where to find it? No? All right, so the lead again is usually the first sentence. It's always going to be the first sentence and a bit more. So here we can see Chief of Defense Staff General Jonathan Vance says CH-148 Cyclone helicopters are on an operational pause. So that's going to be what this is about. So they're not going to use these helicopters. And we're continuing. This is still the lead. One Canadian military member is dead, and 5 others are missing after a helicopter was after a helicopter serving with the naval task force crashed. So that's enough. It gets your interest, and you sort of want to continue reading. So let's just start reading this article, and then we'll just learn more. All right. So, does someone want to start us off to read?
I'll start.
Or
All
I'll
right.
go.
Okay. Alyssa?
One Canadian military member is dead and 5 others are missing after a helicopter serving with a NATO naval task force crashed in international waters between Greece and Italy on Wednesday, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau confirmed today. 4 Royal Canadian Air Force members and 2 Royal Canadian Navy members were on board at the time.
All right. So, this is the lead, right? So, where we learn everything that we need to know. So, here we learn that one person has died and 5 others are missing. And why? Because a helicopter crashed. Where? Between Greece and Italy. When? On Wednesday. And yeah, so that's why we learned everything we need to know. So there were 4 people and 4 Canadian Air Force members and 2 Navy members.
So they were all like Canadian?
Yeah, these are all Canadians. And this happened yesterday. All right. So this one's a bit short. So Shane, did you want to read?
All of them are heroes. Each of them will leave a void that cannot be filled, Trudeau said. Nova Scotia Sub-Lieutenant Abigail Cobrow, a maritime system engineer, originally from Toronto, is confirmed dead. Later on Thursday, the Defense Department identified those still missing. Captain Brennan McDonald, a pilot originally from New Glasgow, Nova Scotia.
Right. So now this is giving us the information. So we're learning who is it, and this gives us more details. Okay, so let's continue. After Shane, Jason, would like to read? Yeah, are you here? Would like to read? Or comma?
Okay, I can read. Captain Kevin Hagen in pilot, originally from Nanaimo, British Columbia. Captain Maxime Morin in Air Combat Systems, officer originally from
Trois-Rivières.
Trois-Rivières, Quebec. Sub LT Matthew Pike, a naval weapons officer originally from Truro, Nova Scotia. Master CPL Matthew Cousins, an airborne electronic sensor operator originally from Guelph, Ontario.
Right. So as you can see, these people, they're from all over Canada, Ontario, Nova Scotia, British Columbia, Quebec. And what these are their ranks. So this is captain, 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 sub-lieutenant, and master corporal. Okay, let's continue. Does someone, okay, you, would like to read?
Trudeau acknowledged that today is another very hard day. Wait, let me see.
Something wrong? Oh,
I'm confused where we are.
okay. Here, let me first. Do you see what I'm highlighting?
Trudeau acknowledgement that today is another very hard day for Nova Scotia, still grieving the victims of a gun massacre. And for all Canadians, the 6 members were on a 6-month deployment that began in January. There will be many questions in the coming days how the tragedy occurred. Trudeau
All right.
said.
So thank you. So basically, Nova Scotia, they're going through a lot already, and what we're learning about is that these 6 members, they were on a 6-month deployment. They're basically going on missions, and that began in January. It was supposed to end in June, but it's too late. Okay. So we are still not sure why or how this happened, and let's continue. Jason, are you here?
Yep.
Did you read this?
Okay. I can assure you we will get answers in due courses. Aircraft from Canada, Italy, and Turkey with support from Greece and the US are searching for the CH-148 Cyclone helicopter.
Yeah. All right. So they're just searching for it. They don't know where it is. Okay. Now, Jeff, are you here? Or Timothy? If not, we just go back. Alyssa, could you read this?
Chief of the Defense Staff, General Jonathan Vance said the Cyclone fleet has been put on operational pause temporarily to allow flight safety teams to investigate and rule out any fleet-wide problems. He added the helicopter fleet is modern and has state-of-the-art technology.
All right. Thank you. So basically, this is like all the background information. We're learning about what this is, what the cycling fleet is, like what it is, and for people who don't know, like all these terms. Okay, Shane, could you read this?
We have a lot of confidence in this fleet, he said. These are superbly trained crews, pilots, electronic system operators, and so on. It's a powerful helicopter with a fantastic sensing capability, and it's about to go through a second block of upgrades to integrate that sensing capability.
Yeah, so he thinks that the crew is just amazing, and they're going to get even better. So, location of wreckage is not known. They don't know where it crashed. Comma, could you read this?
Vance said the crash's debris area is large and the exact position of the wreckage is not yet known. The cockpit voice and flight data recorders broke away from the helicopter with a beacon and have been retrieved. He said they will brought to the National Research Council for analysis.
All right, thank you. So they're just going to try their best to find it. OKU, could you read this?
Vance said the helicopter was returning to HMCS Federation when it crashed at about 6:52 p.m. local time. The ship lost contact with the aircrew a few minutes later. Automatic flares were spotted in the water.
All right, thank you.
Did it crash in the water?
Yeah, they're not sure what happened, but probably guessing is that either they lost control or the helicopter broke.
Is there a chance that they drowned it?
Yeah, there is a big chance because if they were like in the
They
ocean,
all die.
Actually, only one of them is confirmed to be dead. The other are missing, so it's possible that they're alive.
Oh, maybe they're still in the helicopter.
I don't think that's really possible because the helicopter is heavy, right? So it's not gonna really float in the water. And
Did any divers try to find it?
they're trying their best, but the thing is, they don't know where it crashed, right? And it could be a thousand.
But how did the people know? How did the people spot it?
So
How do they know how much people died?
So they know how many people died because the helicopter was missing and there were 6 people on board. So they could just, since it's really late, it just never arrived, right? So they can assume that something happened to them. So yeah.
They know only one died.
So only one person is confirmed dead, but they don't know about anyone else.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All right. So they were supposed to come onto the ship and then it crashed because the ship, it lost contact with the aircrew. So it lost because you guys have seen radios, right? So it's like broadcasting. Someone speaks into like a speaker, and then someone receives it and they can hear what they're talking about. So when you lose contact, that probably means something wrong happened. Right. So this is a time of agony for all families, friends, and fellow crew members. There's nothing worse than sending your shipmates over the horizon and losing contact. Okay. Jason, could you read this?
Okay. Vance said the goal of the operation is to warn Russia and other adversaries not to interfere with European or North Atlantic security and to assure allies that we are all in this together. At the time of the accident, the group was conducting training, not surveillance or targeted operation, he said. We can't rule anything out, but I'm quite certain from a military situation, this was not a function of contact or a shoot down. I want to make that abundantly clear, he said.
Yes. So basically, there's lots of possibilities when the helicopter was missing. It's possible that someone shot it down, but they're pretty sure that it never happened. So, okay, let's continue. So the cause of crash is unknown. Alyssa, could you read this?
Defense Minister Harjit Sajjan said the cause of the crash remains unknown. I've had a number of conversations with the Secretary General of NATO. We remain in contact with Italy, Greece, the United States, and Turkey, who are assisting us in the search and rescue efforts to help us find the Canadian Armed Forces members who were on the helicopter, he said.
All right, thank you. So basically, they're just trying to find it. They don't know what caused it. Lots of things. They don't know lots of stuff. Okay, Shane, could you read this?
Sajjan said an investigative team is en route to the region to get answers. The helicopter was based on HMS Fredericton, which recently sailed from Souda, Greece, as part of a mission of maritime situational awareness in the Mediterranean, including exercises with the Turkish Navy.
Well, you accidentally muted yourself. But it's fine. It's fine. Oh, you cut yourself off when you were reading. That's fine.
Including exercises from the Turkish Navy and Greece's Hellenic Navy and Air Force this past week, NATO said.
All right, thank you. So they were working together with the other country's army or navy, like Turkey, Greece, and their Air Force. So this is General Jonathan Vance, and as you can see, they know that one Canadian Air Force member is dead and 5 of them are missing. So they're not sure where they are. They might be dead, they might be alive. Comma, could you read this?
Vance said the military has been in touch with next of kin. In a season of grief, a time of hardship, heartbreak, and loss for so many Canadians, the men and women of the Canadian Armed Forces stand tall, he said. Bearing the maple leaf on their shoulders, they are known around the world as beacons of civility, compassion, and courage.
Right. So next of kin means like their relatives. So they have been in touch with their relatives. Okay. So okay, you could you read this?
Okay. Conservation leader Andrew Scheer expressed his condolences to family members and the military community. Any loss of life within Canada proud military is a tragic event, one that is deeply felt by all Canadians. I don't doubt that this loss will be particularly difficult for Nova Scotians as HMS CS Treasure is based out of Halifax, he said in a media. Is that done?
Yeah, that's good. All right. So thank you. Jason, could you continue?
What?
Could you read this part?
Okay. I would like to thank all the men and women serving during Operation Reassurance, Canada's largest current international military operation, who are helping make Central and Eastern Europe more stable and secured.
All right, thank you. So yes, this is where they are. This is like the area. So it's around Greece somewhere. Okay, now, Alyssa, could you read this?
NDP leader Jagmeet Singh said he's saddened by the news and sends his love and support to the family and friends of Kalbro and the missing military members. NDP defense critic Randall Garrison called it devastating news for the military community and for all Canadians.
Thank you. So the NDP, that's a form of a group of people of government called the New Democratic Party, and conservatives are also a form of government. Okay. Uh, here, could Shane, can you read this paragraph?
Today, we mourn the loss of Miss Abigail Colbro and send our support to her family during this difficult time. To the families of those still unaccounted for, you are in our thoughts. We're hopeful that the investigation into this tragedy happens quickly and efficiently so that you can have the answers you need.
All right, thank you. So yeah, basically they're trying their best to find everything they can to bring peace to the family. All right. So as we read here, this is like a nut graph where we're learning everything about it. So if we go back to the top, this is the title, this is the lead, this is also the lead, and then here, if we go back here, so the news articles, they all have a headline, a lead, and there was a few quotes, but I'm not sure if you guys can find it. So if we go back to the top, we see there's one quote here. That's the backup quote. It's really short, but still that's the backup quote. And then attribution is listing the facts. So we saw the attribution over here. They're just listing all the facts over here. And the reaction is there's two different sides. We're given that all the information here, and it's up to us to up to the reader to determine what they think is happening. The nut graph is just the information. So over here, this is like all we're learning. This is the nut graph. The background. So the background information is usually just given up in the beginning, where we learn everything we need to know to understand it. And of course, there's an ending, but we did not reach there yet. Okay, so it's almost 4 o'clock, so I'm going to be ending the lesson. So thank you guys for coming. We just be stopping the show. Okay.
Wait, where was the crash again?
The what?
Where was the crash again?
Crash? Oh, in near Greece. So if we go back here to the article.
But why were they in like a plane?
This is dumb.
They were doing a mission. They were doing a test mission.
Let me find here, somewhere around here on this side of Greece. Cephalonia. And yeah, so what we know is that these 5 people, they are missing, and this woman is confirmed dead. So yeah, that's it for today. Thank you for coming. Class is over. You guys could leave.
Thank you for teaching us.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you for the class. Bye.
Thank you.